Hello. So, items that synergize with Yamato, but this time we're going over spirit. Yeah. Let the yappening begin. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's the thing you've been waiting for, the spirit category. Wow. Anyway, the first item is an item that you can't even get extra charged. Now, let's just put on our tin foil hat and think that, hey, what if we could get extra charge? And what if we went on our power slash? And that would be an instant cop. They'd like, buy it, get it. But let's say, oh, it was on our flying strike instead. And that could be alright. You could engage with your flying strike, and then if they were trying to run, you can continue to follow them with your flying strike. It could be alright. But let's say it was on your Crimson Slash. All that means I can get more healing from the Crimson Slash. And you know, that was also a fair bit of more damage. That can be pretty cool. And let's say the extra charge went in your ultimate. Let's be real, it's not going in your ultimate. Stop. Let's just stop daydreaming, alright? Anyway, extra spirit. Yamato is a spirit-based character, and that means you do spirit damage. And that means extra spirit gives you extra spirit, which means extra damage. Which, you know, more healing.
Come to this place of easy money, or just another stupid fight myth. I'll wait.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. More spirit, more damage, more whatever. Mystic Burst. This item is a ramp up to, at this time, 40 damage. And whenever you deal more than 80 damage, it will increase that damage by whatever amount it was. Although, as you were to see, look here, I did 198 damage on Furnace, and then 30-ish damage on Shiv. If you're hitting multiple people, it will prioritize the first target you hit, or the closest if it's a AoE attack. Another thing to note is that it's a charge up of 14 seconds. Yamato's base cooldown is 10.5 seconds, so if you were to, you know, if you were to do your power slash every single time it came off of cooldown and hit it every single time, which it's not, you know, it might happen, it might not happen, but you're not going to be gaining full effect from the item, but you're still going to be gaining enough of an effect that you could still be, you know, want the item. But then we come to tier 2, which reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds, which means Mystic Burst is going to have less of a time to charge up. Which means, you know, you might not be getting as much effect as you want out of Mystic Burst. Mystic Expansion. I only mention it because it can feel nice on the Flying Strike. You can just buy this instead of putting 2 levels in your Flying Strike if you really want to. And if you were to put 2 levels into it, you can make it go a really funny amount of distance. Like what do you mean I can target maybe all the way here? You know, it's kind of funny, I guess. Personally, I find it unnecessary. You might really like it, but if you really like Mystic Expansion, then why not just put 3 points into your Flying Strike and then, you know. I just find it unnecessary. You might not. The next item, Mystic Regeneration. This item shines when you have spirit damage that you can deal every 5 seconds. Yamato can sort of struggle with that a bit, you know, 5 seconds, and then, you know, it's not impossible. You can definitely do it. But would you want to? Because the healing's not going to be bad. But would you really want to play in that way? Spirit Strike. This item makes your melee damage deal some spirit damage. It also applies a spirit reduction or a spirit resist reduction on the enemy just by doing a melee. Now, similarly to life steal and life strike, the cooldown is twice the length as if you were to do a light melee compared to a heavy melee. So just be wary of that. Although again, I wouldn't be surprised if they were to change it to how Spirit Snatch functions. Who knows, they might not. And just something I don't know, it does not increase your life strike damage. The spirit damage that it does, if I were to buy life strike, if I were to buy life strike, you get 192. If I were to sell spirit strike and wait for life strike to come back up, I would still get 192. So no, spirit strike doesn't increase life strike damage. Now onto the tier 2s. Arcane Surge. This item builds off of extra stamina, so you know whatever I say about extra stamina applies to here. But now it also gives you a buff whenever you were to dash jump, such as. And now this buff is more range, more duration, and more spirit power on whatever ability you use next. Now these stats can be useful. You know, let's say you're trying to chase someone down, you can dash jump, and then the range is a little bit more bigger, so I can chase them down more easily. But yeah, if you want to use the duration, you'd want to use it on your ultimate, and needing to dash jump and being it's a bit annoying to use, and you're not always going to have that stamina to be able to do that. And to gain the spirit power from it, let's say I want more damage on my power slash, you need to dash jump and then use your power slash. So you dash jump and then sort of be still in the air. But let's say, you know, you don't want to be staying still when you use a power slash. Oh, it's going to go behind a wall. So what you need to do is dash jump and then gain the buff and then dash and then use it all again, and then you'd gain the bonus damage. It's just really goofy to use. Cold Front. This item deals damage and applies a slow on an enemy. If you were to see here, Infernus is you know, he's moving, and then I can slow him. And also slow down my PC apparently. You can slow him for, you know, a considerable amount of time while also dealing good damage. This can help you, you know, not just deal damage, but also keep the enemy in your range of attack and such. Something to note about Cold Front is that it sort of has a lingering hitbox, so you can activate it and then walk around the corner to deal the damage. You know, I'm not hitting it, activate it, walk around the corner, and then I can hit it. This can combo with things like Phantom Strike, in which you can activate Cold Front and then Phantom Strike, if you push the right buttons, and deal a fair chunky bit of damage, in a surprise. Convoy's cooldown. I'd recommend putting this on your ultimate because you're a pretty ultimate based character, and it just allows you to get off more ultimates.
I'm just a urn god waiting for a team to
That's, I
squeeze
don't
me
know.
off my jar and turn me in.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. More cooldown reduction equals more ults, equals more engagements, equals more things that you can do.
Go, all right. I got a hyper
You know.
basketball game to catch. Oh wait,
Duration extender. I would put this item on your ultimate, unless you want to go for like a debuff Yamato and have, I don't know, but that's kind of in the realm of playing around, getting a bit silly with it. But you know, whatever. On your ultimate.
I see someone appreciates fine
This at max, it can increase the damage. It can increase the duration of your ultimate from 8 seconds to 9.7 seconds. It's pretty good if you want to stay in the fight for longer. To either, you know, hopefully output more damage, survive longer, distract the enemies for longer, and that sort of such. Whether this item is good, bad, or great depends on the playstyle. If you like to get in and out, then this item might be considered bad. But if you like to get in, stay in there for a fair bit, and then get out, this item could be pretty good. Anyway, next item, improved spirit. It builds off of extra spirit. Basically, same thing as I said about extra spirit. And I guess another thing to note, I'd recommend buying improved spirit if you have multiple multiple items or things that scale off of spirit. So, you know, if you're just buying improved spirit for more damage on your abilities, then I'd say buying damage orientated items would be a better idea. Like, instead of buying improved spirit, maybe buy Tank Buster, Mystic Burst instead. But if you have things like Mystic Shot or Reactive Barrier or even Toxic Bullets, then improved spirit can help a lot. But if you're just sort of buying improved spirit to increase your spirit to increase your ability damages, then think about buying other items first and then buying improved spirit. Mystic Slow. This item is it slows the enemy whenever you do spirit damage. Very self-explanatory. So, you know, if we were to does a slow, and you can output spirit damage pretty consistently. So it can help keep enemies within your range of. It also reduces the dash distance, which, you know, helps to keep enemies in your range of death. Anyway, on to the next item, Mystic Vulnerability. This item just reduces their spirit resist whenever you deal spirit damage to them. So, I would do a Power Slash, 332, but then I applied Mystic Vulnerability, and then I would do another Power Slash, 358. So, something to note there, you need to do an instance of spirit damage and then your big chunky damage. So either do your Crimson Slash and then Power Slash, or you know, an item synergy. You can have Mystic Shot.
Don't get caught.
Do Mystic Shot and then use your Power Slash. Yeah, this is just a simple way to reduce their spirit resistance, but just make sure deal any instance of spirit damage and then do your big burst. Next item, Quicksilver Reload. This item can be good at increasing the amount of damage that any ability does, so we can sort of just increase the amount of damage that our Power Slash can do. So instead of 332, if Quicksilver is fully charged up, we'll add 44 damage to that, resulting in 367 damage. Although, something to note, you're not really going to take advantage of the fire rate, and you're not really going to take advantage of the bullet reloaded mechanic. You sort of can, because you can, expend all your right clicks, and yet you just want to go in. Oh, I'm reloaded. I can go again. It's only really good to increase the amount of damage that your ability can do, but apart from that, you don't really care about the other stats. So the slowing X. I'd say this item is alright on Yamato. I'd personally prefer a teammate to buy it, like a more supportish hero like Holiday.
Careful, Holiday.
Because Holiday has more supportive tools, while you have more. You're basically just full on selfish. But anyway, as to what this item does, it slows down the enemy. If I were to drag Bebop over here, This is his move speed. Slowing X. That's his move speed now. He is slower. And also something to note that it silences their movement-based abilities. So if I were to copy Mimic, Slowing Hex, he can't use his rain of arrows, so he can't fly away. Well, of course, now he can because he's not Slowing Hex anymore. So this item can help keep people within your range of, you know, death. And if there's certain heroes like the Lash, Pocket, Grey Talon, or even Infernus Dash, you apply Slowing Hex before you think they're going to do it, and hopefully finish them off before they, you know, go away. Spirit Sap.
Don't mind the blood on that. It's gently used.
This item reduces the amount of sustain that they have, and also reduces the amount of damage that they have. And who's they? I mean the enemy, such as Bebop. So for the Power Slash, it's going to do 332. If I were to snap him and then Power Slash, it's going to be doing more damage. And Bebop's also going to be doing less damage because he has 24%. I mean, not percent. He has 24 less spirit power. So, you know, so this item's good at increasing your damage while reducing the enemy's damage. Suppressor.
You're not gonna regret that.
This item reduces the enemy's fire rate whenever you deal spirit damage. This can be good against any fire rate characters like there's a Bebop going gun, IV gun, Infernus Haze, whatever. And you can reduce the fire rate whenever you deal any spirit damage, which is basically any damage that you do. This item can synergize, you know, it can be good, but if you want to reduce their fire rate, you already have an ability that can do that. Although, to be granted, it's only a 4-second debuff. While Suppressor, it is a 4-second debuff, but it's a 4-second debuff whenever you use any spirit damaging ability, or even spirit damage items such as Mystic Shot. Good against any gun characters that care a lot about fire rate, and that the Crimson Slash fire rate minus is just not enough, and you need more. Now on to the tier 3, Decay. This item is great at decaying the enemy. And what does Decay do? Well, you should probably explain it. It deals percentage based spirit damage based off the amount of HP that they have, so it doesn't just scale with your spirit power, it also scales with the enemy's HP, so that can be great against any tanky heroes such as a Bebop building a crap ton of vitality because they just do that apparently, or a Mo and Krill. It also reduces the amount of healing that they do. So if someone has an insane amount of healing, like, you know, let's say Infernus or Shiv just has like Spirit Lifesteal, Infuser, whatever, you chuck it on them, deal good damage to them, and also make it so that they're gonna have a tougher time healing, allowing you to hopefully win the 1v1, or at least, you know, kill them and kill them. Something to note is that this item does not proc any other items. So, you know, let's say you have Mystic Vulnerability, Power Slash, it does 410. If I were to wait for the 7-second duration, which is probably around this much, and then put on Decay, it's dealing spirit damage, right? But it's not going to be increasing the amount of damage that my Power Slash will do, because it cannot proc any other items. Greater expansion. I only mention it because of the, you know, the flying strike, and I guess the range at which your Power Slash can be pretty funny. Like, you know, that's a significant amount of rage. You can make it so that enemies might go, I'm out of your effective range. Haha, no, you're not, and you can actually still just hit them. You know, I find it unnecessary, but I suppose it can be useful with the flying strike, especially at tier 2, being able to just, you know, follow an Ivy from that distance, or a Bebop from all the way over here. If I can target him. That's kind of, you know, it's kind of insane, is it not? But it's also kind of unnecessary. So yeah, can be alright. I find that unnecessary, but yeah. Knockdown. Similarly to what I said about slowing Hex, it's sort of best if a more supportive character were to buy it, but you know, if there's a Vindictor or Lash and no one's buying Knockdown, then well, you might just have to buy Knockdown, because no one counter buys in this game apparently. I don't know.
Honestly, I should just head back to Morrowind.
Yeah, anyway, I wouldn't recommend a Yamato to buy it, but if there's a Vindictor, Talon, Lash, or anyone who's airborne and they're just wrecking the lobby and having trouble and no one's buying Knockdown for whatever reason, you might have to buy Knockdown. So yeah. Anyway, on the next item, Radiant Region. Similarly to what I said about Mystic Region, the same thing applies, except that by the time you buy Radiant Region, you might have an easy time activating the passive, because you might have your tier 5 Crimson Slash, depending on your ability order. And what it does, every 6 seconds, whenever you cast an ability, whenever you hit an ability, or is it cast? Okay, sorry, it's whenever you cast an ability, you're going to be gaining some healing. That can be pretty good. It's a spirit item that increases your sustain. And now the HP per second that the passive gives, that now scales with spirit, which can be pretty good. And over time can definitely be a sizable amount, especially considering that it scales with spirit. So yeah, just a spirit item that can give you some pretty alright, so that can give you some sustain. And also movement speed. Almost forgot to mention the movement speed. The movement speed is pretty cool and nice. On to the next item, rapid recharge. I'm going insane. Let's put on our tinfoil hats. No, anyway, yeah, you know, everything I said about extra recharge. Just imagine, daydream, if you will. Okay, you can stop daydreaming. On to the next item, silence wave. This silences the enemy and also deals some damage. This can be pretty good against, let's say there's a Bebop and the bastard helps you, and silence him before he gets a bomb off, and you can run away, and also it deals damage. So, you know, if you want to do good burst damage, you can do this and get an insane amount of damage off, while also silencing them. The silence is mainly notable against any ability-based heroes like Pocket or things like that. Yeah, just the silence is nice, and the damage that it does is also nice. Okay, next item, Spirit Snatch. The item that I've referenced a lot, and I'm finally going to talk about it. Whenever you hit an enemy with a melee, whether that be light or heavy, you're gonna do spirit damage. You're actually gonna steal their spirit resist, and also steal their spirit power and apply it to yourself. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna reduce their damage and reduce their survivability, while amping your own damage and amping your own survivability, if of course they deal spirit damage. And if you do a heavy, you gain the full effect Well, if you were to do a light, you gain 70% of the effect. And also, this item gives melee damage, and Spirit Strike doesn't actually give melee damage, but this item does as a stat. So Spirit Strike, so Spirit Snatch does synergize with Life Strike, and any other melee items that you want to be meleeing with. Superior cooldown.
Gonna regret that.
This is basically just compressed cooldown, but it applies to all of your abilities, and it's a tiny bit more cooldown reduction. As of now, goes from 18 to 20%. Having, you know, lower cooldowns in your power slash can be nice. Going from was around 10.5 to 6.8 seconds, and Crimson Slash from whatever it was to 4.8 seconds. It can definitely help with some damage or survivability, but personally I find it a little bit unnecessary, and I just find it would be better to purchase other spirit items first and then buy superior cooldown. Although that's just me. Superior duration. This increases the duration of all of your abilities and items. I wouldn't exactly recommend superior duration over duration extender if you just want one ability extended, mainly your ultimate, because you don't really care about your Crimson Slash debuff being extended, or your Flying Strike slow, or your Power Slash slow. You know, you don't really care about that. So I'd only recommend it if you care about other items increasing in duration, such as Colossus, or
Turning into a giant punching machine is a thing of beauty.
or Return Fire, or Metal Skin, or, you know, any other active item, passive item, whatever. Next item, Surge of Power.
You have
Surge of Power. This item gives you more damage on whatever ability you imbue it with, and also movement speed and fire rate whenever you cast that ability. I would say this item's mainly good whenever you're pushing objectives. Any increased fire rate can definitely help you with shredding the objective. The move speed can also be nice in terms of, like, you know, trying to catch up to an enemy. Like, oh, he's running away, I'm more quick here, I can hopefully catch up to him. Flying Strike, whatever. And depending on the timing of it, it can help you run away from an enemy. Tank Buster. This item builds off of Mystic Burst, so everything I said about Mystic Burst applies to Tank Buster. But now it deals max health bonus damage on an enemy. So if enemies are getting tanky, then this item is pretty good, because it doesn't just scale off of your damage, it now scales off of the enemy's health pool. So if there's a tanky ass Bebop, you're going to be doing a lot more damage against them. Although again, it has a 14-second charge up, and, you know, that might be annoying, because your Power Slash is an 8.5-second cooldown, so you might not be getting full effect of the Tank Buster. Torment Pulse. This item does constant damage, spirit damage may I add, whenever you're in a certain range of 9 meters, which is around this much. It can deal good damage against enemies, and also can deal good damage against minions. I mean, NPCs, sorry. What you can do is, you can come here, focus on this guy, Torment Pulse will take care of the little ones, and then, you know, it can also help with farming, as well as damage. And also in terms of item synergies, like I've mentioned before, any other item that needs spirit damage to actually proc, such as Mystic Vulnerability and Escalating Exposure. Now then, on to the tier 4s, the last category, Arctic Blast. This builds off of Cold Front, so everything I said about Cold Front applies to Arctic Blast. But now it just does more damage and it does a slight freeze. And within the slight freeze, you can deal bonus damage to win in that freeze. The extra damage is nice, you know, around the 175 at base value, and then you buy the item which gives you more spirit, so then that makes it go to 200 and whatever. But the actual freeze and bonus freeze damage that you can do, you can only take advantage of it with your Crimson Slash. So, and so yeah, you can't really take advantage of the bonus freeze damage. The only ability that you can is with your Crimson Slash or with like a right click melee. It's very brief. It's hard to take advantage of the freeze damage. At most you could, I'd say, express shot and with some melee items you can do that. You can do that. You know, 272 damage, compare that to 237 damage. It can amp some damage, but it's not going to be amping a whole lot of damage. And also another item synergy to note was Phantom Strike. You can activate Arctic Blast and then Phantom Strike. A good amount of damage. Surprise the enemy, you know. Now on to the next item, Boundless Spirit. This is really good at giving you just a bunch of spirit. And like I've said before, this item really shines, such as this builds off of Improved Spirit, which, you know, everything I said about Improved Spirit applies, but now it even more so applies because it gives you percentage spirit power. And so, you know, Reactive Barrier is going to give you a lot more barrier now. Mystic Shot's going to be doing a lot more damage, and you know, it shines a lot if you have a lot of items that scale with spirit. If you have little items that scale with spirit, then there might be better spirit items to buy than Boundless. But yeah, if you want a bunch of spirit, Boundless is definitely the way to go. I definitely recommend Boundless. It's just a bunch of spirit. I don't know if I'd say recommend to get that. Let's get that out of spirit. Now on to the next item, Curse. So Curse, you know, you already know what it does. Silences them, disarms them. They can't use any active items. If you want to piss someone off, buy Curse. And now a pretty new effect that they might keep, they might remove, I don't know, that removes all non-ultimate buffs. Now, what is a non-ultimate buff? Well, that means a lot of things. It can remove, I can go through the cast and just quickly say what it can remove. It can remove Abram's Siphon Life. It can remove the Bebop's Sticky Bomb on himself, I believe. It might be able to remove Billy's Blasted. It can remove, it can remove Viscous Cube if you can target him within it. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. You might be able to target Viscous. He might go cube, like, oh, there's a big amount of damage, but then that curse will then hit him while he's in the cube, and then the cube would stop, and then, you know. And it can also remove Diviner's Kevlar and any other item buffs like Return Fire, Metal Skin, blah 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 blah. It removes all non-ultimate buffs. And Echo Shard. This item I'd recommend it on Power Slash. I suppose you could do it on Crimson Slash to get more heals off, but I recommend Power Slash. If you want to do like 1,000 cuts, do that. Echo Shard. Do that. Ult. Power Slash again. Send out like 3 Power Slashes, which is pretty funny. And you could be like that guy from Marvel Rivals that goes 1,000 cuts. Yeah, it's like, anyway, next item, Escalating Explosion. This item, it gives you a spirit amp the more constant spirit damage you deal. And now currently every 0.5 seconds you deal spirit damage, it will have a second debuff. Now, I've mentioned a great item synergy before, Torment Pulse.
If you like that, I got some other stuff
All
to
you
fill
have to
on
do
the
is
truck.
just be up in the enemy, and it's free stacking.
I'm just dripping souls
And
all
another
over
thing
the place.
I'd like to note is that it only amps your spirit damage to them. So let's say there's 12 stacks and the Holiday over there
You forgetting
wants to
something?
chuck a barrel on Bebop. The Holiday is not going to be gaining any of the spirit amp damage. Only you are against that one target. Ethereal Shift.
That is a hell of a sword, and I'm
This item
grateful it's
is,
not pointed at me.
you know, it's, you know it. Everyone was buying this item at a certain point in time. It can help you block big ultimates like a Lash Ult in the air, a Bebop bomb that's going to do 2,000 damage to you. Block that. Talon Bird, Talon Arrow, Shiv Ult, Shiv, whatever. And when you come out of it, you gain Spirit Power and Spirit Resist and move speed. Although the buff is pretty short by 5 seconds. I don't really buy this item in sort of matchup specific, because if you want to avoid a big chunk of damage that's coming your way, yeah, sure, you could buy Ethereal Shift and do this, or you could just do this, sort of. Although your cast time of Shadow Transformation is 1.5 seconds, so you have 1.5 seconds to avoid all that damage. While Ethereal Shift is 4 seconds, so you can avoid that damage. So you can avoid all that big damage for 4 seconds instead of 1.5. But it's matchup dependent, and also enemy dependent, and you dependent on how you play. And
Listen, I know fast travel is for cucks, but if we
next item, focus lens. This builds off of Spirit Sap, so everything I said about Spirit Sap applies to focus lens, which is reducing their damage and increasing your own damage. But also, what it does different from Spirit Sap is that if the amount of damage that you deal to them in 4 seconds, it will take 30% of that damage that you dealt to them and deal it to them again. This can be pretty good for Yamato because you can do most of your damage within 4 seconds. You can apply it, and they can take a big chunk of damage while also having their damage reduced and resistances reduced. And I'm not done yet. It also silences them for 4 seconds. So there's quite a lot of stuff going on in this item, and I wouldn't be surprised if it gets changed. But and this sort of video becomes a little bit useless. But as of now, it does all of that. So yeah, just make sure to try and get your power slash off whenever you're using focus lens, and don't power slash and focus lens. I feel like it's obvious, but I've done that before like a complete moron. Anyway, next item, Magic Carpet. Yes, I'm going to be talking about Magic Carpet. This item is pretty good at rotating. Just fly around, wee. Get the buff, slow down your PC for a little bit for some weird reason. You can also escape from enemies, because unlike Majestic Leap, if you don't take damage, you can still cast this item and leave. So it can be a pretty good escape tool, and a pretty good roaming around the map tool. It also increases your ability duration, which can help with your ultimate. And in terms of item synergies, there is a pretty funny one that I'd like to mention, and that funny one being Torment Pulse, Escalating Exposure. So what you can do, single out an enemy that you absolutely hate, summon your Magic Carpet, just fly around them like a little goober that you are. Damage is going to be dealing, amping is going to be happening, your Magic Carpet ends, you know, the big chunky power slash off.
Team to sweep me off my jar and turn me in.
Very funny. Very cool. Mercurial Magnum. Whatever you say it. I don't care. This item,
I'm just dripping souls
it
all over
can
the place.
synergize with Yamato, but I find that, okay, as the annotation says on there, you need to left click. Use this item and you're right clicking. It's not going to be doing a whole lot of. It's not going to be doing a whole lot. It's better if you left click, because that just does more DPS. And, you know. But if you're left clicking a lot on Yamato, then you're sort of falling into the gun Yamato category. But I mean, you know, you can left click on. You know. And something interesting about this item, you can use it, and as long as you never reload, you're gonna keep the effect of the converting some of your bullet damage into spirit damage. So I've used the item, and I have the effect of converting my bullet into spirit damage. Although I do lose the fire rate that it gives. I still have the effect. I've stopped. I still have the effect. It's only when I reload that the effect is gone. So what you could do is chuck out an ability when no one's around. Just keep it stored up. Don't reload. You see an enemy and you just, you know, fire on them for a bit. And then, you know, it's going to be recharged again. Fire on them again. But anyway, yeah, you need to be left clicking with this item. Right clicking doesn't really do a whole lot. Next item, Mystic Reverb. This is just, you know, you pick an ability, and the damage that ability does, it will take 50% of that damage and then apply that damage again. And if the enemy is standing next to another enemy, it'll reverb that damage onto other enemies. So this can be pretty good when an enemy's running, you know, he's well, oh no, he needs to run back to his team. He'll run back to his team and deal damage to his team. So it can be pretty good against group scenarios and just dealing more damage. It also does a slow, which is, you know, pretty cool. Keeps enemies in your range of death. Yeah. Refresher. Yamato is a sort of ultimate based character, so, you know, being able to get another ult off is pretty good. And also another set of all of the abilities. You can get off a lot of damage with a refresher, but you need the sustain to get that damage off. So good item synergies are items that can keep you up for a long time, like Infuser, Diviner, Spirit Lifesteal, Leech, a bunch of shields as well. Just items that can keep you up in a fight for a significant amount of time. Next item, Scourge. I would say it's one of those items that you would hope for a teammate to buy and to apply onto you, but, you know, it's also good for you to just buy it and, you know, go in. The Scourge has this radius, and it's not uncommon for you to play in a 10 or so meter radius. And its damage, it doesn't scale with your spirit, but the damage scales with the enemy's max HP pool. So if there's a tanky Bebop, a tanky Moen Krill, tanky Shiv, whatever, your teammates or you, recommending a teammate because it doesn't really scale off their spirit, you can apply it can be applied to you, and you can go in, deal a lot of damage to the enemy because they have a bunch of HP, and you know, be happy and cool. It also gives spirit resist to whoever it's applied to, so if you apply it to yourself, in 40% spirit armor. If you apply it to a teammate, it gives them 40% spirit armor that you can't see here, but you know. So, you know, pretty good against tanky enemies. It also gives like 4% ability cooldown reduction, which like 4%, it's not a lot, but it's something, I guess. But you know, whatever. Okay, 4%. On to the next item, Spirit Burn. We're almost there. 3 more to go, or 2 more, whatever. This item deals an explosion of damage whenever you reach a certain damage threshold. Currently, it's 500 damage threshold, and once you reach that, an explosion of 110 damage happens. Such as that. And said explosion applies a 8-second debuff of minus 70% healing reduction. So this item can be really good, and obviously you have enough spirit to easily proc it. You're going to deal a bunch of damage, and you're going to apply a 70% healing reduction on it. And also, as you can see, yes, it is. It's a blast, so it's going to deal damage to people in an area. But yeah, just a good way to deal damage while also reducing the enemy's healing. Although you need to be able to do that amount of damage to be able to make the item be useful. Transcendent cooldown. I would say it is a significant difference compared to just compress cooldown, 18% compared to 25%. You know, that is a fair-ish jump of 7%, if I can do math. Yes, I can. And now what it also does is reduce your item cooldown reduction. So not just your abilities are getting cooldown reduction, now your items are. So this item really shines if you have a bunch of other active items. Maybe not the rocket, like Infuser or Phantom Strike, you know. It helps to reduce their cooldowns. Although, it's not going to reduce every single item cooldown. Something to note with Quicksilver Reload, as you can see, it sort of has a speedometer icon, while a different item like Slowing Hex, it has a clock icon. The items with the clock icon are the items that can be affected by Transcendent cooldown. The items with the speedometer icon are the ones that cannot be affected by Transcendent cooldown. So keep that in mind when buying this item and thinking that, oh hey, it's going to reduce my Quicksilver Reload cooldown. It's not, unless they change it. And finally, the last item that I don't even know if I should mention, Vortex Web. I say I don't know why I can mention it, because I guess it builds off of Slowing Hex, so everything I said about Slowing Hex is applied to it. But I guess you can cast it and then get a Power Slash, maybe get like a fatty grouped Power Slash off. But like, I feel like it's better if a teammate were to buy it rather than you, and you know, have coordination between your teammate and you. But you know, by just talking to teammates, that's scary, man. That's scary. But yeah, I'm sort of stretching the limit of synergistic items because they have enough time to dash away, and I might not get the fatty Power Slash off that I'm thinking of. So yeah, that was it. If you think that I missed an item or missed an interaction, or think that I'm bad and stupid and I certain items that I mentioned shouldn't have been mentioned at all, talk about it in the comments and I'll probably reply. And if you want me to make more dumb videos, then like and subscribe and I'll feel pressured to do so. Because, yeah. Don't ask how long this took. And that concludes all the synergistic spirit items with Yamato. If you think I missed any spirit items that can work well with her, then go ahead and mention it. And if you think I missed any important information, then also you can mention that in the comments. Bye.
Tsugi